Welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills at which formal action may be taken. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda. Roll call, please, Mr. Marco.
Mr. Baker?
Here.
Ms. Ballard?
Here.
Ms. Cooper?
Here.
Mrs. DeGrandpré?
Here.
Ms. Gills? Mr. Joyce? Ms. Nathans?
Here.
Mrs. Santoro?
Here.
Mrs. Rye?
Here.
And Mrs. Frenda.
Here. Okay, we are going to be going into executive session. The Open Public Meetings Act authorizes a public body to exclude the public from that portion of a meeting at which specified topics are to be discussed under circumstances where the public consideration of such topics will clearly endanger the public, or where the personal privacy or guaranteed rights of individuals whose activities or affairs are to be discussed would be clearly in danger of unwarranted invasions, and the matters about to be presented for discussion clearly meet the circumstances test of such act. The Board of Education of Somerset Hills now adjourns its public session to reconvene an executive session for the purpose of discussing the following: personnel, student matters, contracts, negotiations, and litigation. Can I have a motion to go into executive session, please? Mr. Baker, and a second? Ms. Ballard, thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. It's on, it's on. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not sure if mine is working, but I'm loud enough typically. We are going to turn it over to Dr. Brochel for his report of the superintendent and some wonderful recognitions to start us off.
Thank you, Mrs. Frenda. Our first group of students that we're going to have speak tonight are the Bernardsville Middle School student speakers. The first is representing the Student Council in the fall play. Sienna Uckland and Sam Emery is representing climate and culture in the fall play. So if the middle school reps could come on up, that'd be great. How you doing? Okay. I know you're going to do great. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Samuel Emery, and I'm in 8th grade. I've been granted the opportunity tonight to speak at this board meeting about our 7th and 8th grade play that we have just put on, our Bernardsville Middle School Culture and Climate Committee, and our upcoming winter sports. First, I would like to talk about the marvelous play, High School Musical Junior, that the 7th and 8th grade put on for the district on the nights of October 24th and 25th. I was blessed with the opportunity to be in this musical, along with the musicals from my 5th grade year, 6th grade year, and 7th grade year. I wanted to share some of the things I experienced while being a part of this production. Backstage, the 7th and 8th grade students were a joy to be around, and I had the most fun I've ever had while being a part of a production for the school. We all laughed and sang and danced together, and it was just a joy to be around. I also want to thank the people that were able to put the show together, Mrs. Wutler and Miss Juergens. They worked hard to put on the best show they could, and I want to thank them for putting on so much time and effort into making the show the best that it could. While I'm here, I would also like to talk about the Bernardsville Middle School Culture and Climate Committee, which is another group I'm excited to be with. I've been on this committee since 6th grade, and I'm pleased to say that I've enjoyed it. Through the years, I've been a part of helping plan multiple school activities, like Country versus Country Club, which is an event that we do where students dress up either as a person from the country or a person that belongs to a country club in honor of the hunt in Far Hills. I have also helped plan events like School Family Feud and candy bracketing contests, in which we, as a school, choose the best candy. We also have some upcoming events like a student-teacher swap, which kids dress up like a teacher and teachers dress up like a student. Another example is House Day. Our school has 4 houses, which each kid is assigned to when they first enter our school. We play games like kickball, tic-tac-toe, and even tug-of-war. One thing I love about our school, though, is even though we have 4 houses, we still come together at the end of the day as one home. Finally, I would like to talk about upcoming sports in the winter. I will be a part of the school basketball team, and I'm excited to see what goes on in our athletics program. Another sport we have going on in winter is wrestling. I can't wait to hear how our Bulldogs do in winter for athletics. Switching gears real quick, unfortunately my co-presenter, Sienna Eklund, was unable to present with me this evening. She was supposed to speak first, and I followed. She planned on discussing some of the wonderful clubs and activities we have here at BMS. 8th graders met for the first time this week as peer leaders with Miss Pasquarelli, who is a special group of 8th grade volunteers who are interested in developing their leadership skills by working with younger students, improving school climate, and promoting school spirit. It will be exciting to see some of the activities they promote. Thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Thank you, Sam. We're all dying to know the candy of choice.
It was Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Okay. I'm an M&M's guy, but we'll take Nerds, right? Very good. Our Bernards High School student rep is Nora Jersak. Nora?
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I know I was not here for the last meeting, but very grateful that Claire filled in for me. So to start this evening off, there has been a lot happening at BHS recently. The first marking period has ended, and we are now in the second marking period, so grades have been out, so that's good. We have had a few more seniors commit to Schools for Sports, so that's very exciting to see, and I'm in the college readiness class, and so we always ring the bell when someone gets in, so there has been a lot of bell ringing recently, which is just really wonderful, even if you're not in the class presently, you know, just being there for your fellow students and enjoying the joy with them. So far, we have had 2 successful fundraisers, and we will be having another fundraiser sort next week. Our club, Campbell's Butterflies, had a Krispy Kreme donut sale, and they raised just over $500. This money is going towards the Team Campbell Foundation, as well as the St. Baldrick's event. And I have to say, the hallways did smell like donuts for the entire day. It was very pleasant. Student Council ran our dodgeball tournament, and it was huge. We had 21 different teams all dressed up, and I have to say there was a lot of passion. Balls were flying everywhere. Overall, they ended up raising $900, which will be going towards the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Next week, Bernard's Girl Up Club will also be hosting a cookie walk, and their funds will be donated to the UN organization. At the last meeting, Claire mentioned our fall play rumors. Hopefully some of you were able to attend. It was a big hit, and everyone loved it. Currently, they are holding interest meetings on auditions for the spring musical, which is going to be Legally Blonde. The National Honor Society has its induction ceremony tomorrow, actually, in the PAC, and they have also been very busy. They are hosting a blood drive on Tuesday, the 26th, and students have been signing up during lunch periods to participate, so that's really great to see. They have also been doing peer tutoring, and that has been in full swing and very helpful. Lots of good feedback. Green Team has recycled 700 pounds of plastic for the Next Treks Plastic Recycling Challenge, which is very nice to see, our green initiative. We also had a speaker come in during a lunch, and they gave a presentation on the history of immigration in Somerset Hills, so that was really great. Some students were able to make it. On Halloween, we had a costume contest, and lots of students participated, including myself. That was great, you know, best costume, silliest, there was group ones. It was just overall really wonderful. As far as sports go, football won the division. They did lose in sectional finals, but it was a very close game, I have to say. Girls tennis won state sectional finals, and they lost in group states with a score of 3.5 to 1.5. Girls soccer also won their division, and they placed second in the sectional finals for Group 2 schools. That was also a very tight match. Boys soccer were the conference champions with a 14-4 overall score and a 9-1 in the conference. Cheer, which was recently brought back this year, is very exciting. They've been doing great at the football games, really just bringing the hype, as we would say, and just getting that school spirit going. for cross country, girls ranked 6th in the state for Group 2, and boys ranked 2nd in the state for Group 2. They had one athlete place 20th in the state and another place 55th, so that's really amazing. The girls' volleyball season finished. That was also very strong. And field hockey, while it was not their best season score-wise, they did really great, and there was a lot of improvements seen overall. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Our next honoree tonight is for Amaya Ram, and Amaya is a terrific speller. 2 years, second year, it's her second year winning in a row. She won the Friends of the Burnsville Library and Kumon Learning Center. They've hosted a spelling bee, and our literacy teacher from the middle school, Mrs. McMillan, also participates as a judge over there. Spelling bee was open to any child in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade who lives in Burnsville or attends school in Burnsville, and this year, 75% of the participants hailed from the middle school, and Amaya took first once again. So if I could have Amaya come on up, we have a recognition for her. So I neglected to read the formal proclamation here for you. So this is a resolution honoring you for your academic excellence, and it's demonstrated by your second consecutive spelling bee victory. Whereas the Somerset Hills Board of Education gives special honor and commendation to those who perform at the highest academic level with effort, responsibility, and a positive attitude. Whereas you are part of our Burnersville Middle School, and you do inspire your peers, you do inspire your staff members, and all of us. So very well done. And therefore, be it resolved that the Somerset Hills Board of Education resolves that they hereby commend you for your dedication to studying and preparing for the spelling bee and for your overall stellar performance and good sportsmanship during the 2024 Burnersville Spelling Bee. And when the board meets and adjourns today, it does so in honor of your achievement. The board secretary is directed to have this resolution reflected in the permanent minutes of the board on this 20th day of November 2024. Congratulations. Next, I'm going to invite Dr. Nigel. We have some honorees tonight for our National Merit Scholarship Program.
Thank you. Good to see everybody here tonight. I'm going to call each student up. We have had a great year, 11 commended students and a semifinalist. So I've asked each of the counselors of the students to just write a quick little blurb about each of you. So I'm going to call you up, make you stand here while we say nice things about you. Okay, so first up we have Lila Beckerman. Lila is a bright, driven, and ambitious with a diverse range of interests, which she approaches with enthusiasm and a tireless work ethic. She is an exceptional student who gravitates toward chemistry and English. She has made remarkable contributions to Berners High School through her leadership roles as the president of the National Honor Society, co-founder of the Asian American and Pacific Islander Club, and co-president of the STEM Club. Lila's involvement in her local community stands out as she has volunteered consistently at a local food pantry and worked as a camp counselor. Congratulations, Lila. Next up, she couldn't make it tonight, but I am going to read Andy Costabile. Andy Costabile stands out as a dedicated and enthusiastic student with a clear vision for her future and a profound commitment to both her academic and personal goals. Andy's academic achievements reflect her genuine love of learning and her determination to understand the world around her. Andy's involvement in extracurricular activities is extensive and showcases her leadership, teamwork, and service to the school community. She has been a vital member of the Berners Girls Varsity Soccer Team, a board member for the Peer Leadership Program, and a key participant in Student Council, Key Club, and Best Buddies. Congratulations to Andy. Next up, we have Sil D'Amato. I think Sil was supposed to come. Okay, we're going to read Sil as well. Sil has distinguished themselves at our school through a unique combination of intellectual curiosity, creativity, and a deep passion for engaging with both classic literature and STEM subjects. Sil is deeply involved and contributing member of our school community, particularly within the marching band and the Bernards Club. Sil is a devoted member of the GSA Club, where they've been involved for 3 years, consistently supporting and promoting inclusivity within our school. Outside of school, Sil's passions continue to flourish as they are a lover of diverse musical genres and they enjoy composing their own music. Congratulations to Sil. Next up, we have Ella Domertowski. I see in the back there. Ella Domertowski has distinguished herself not only through her academic achievement, but also through her deep passion for understanding and changing the world. With a desire to study foreign relations or political science, and a keen interest in linguistics and English, Ella's academic and personal pursuits are rooted in a genuine curiosity and innate understanding of the power of language and communication. What sets Ella apart is her remarkable leadership and commitment to her community. Ella serves as the president of the Girl Up Club, an active leader in madrigals, and has earned 12 varsity letters participating in soccer, basketball, and track. Ella has also volunteered extensively with the PPAC Gladstone Food Pantry. Congratulations, Ella. Next, we have Emma Grau. Emma is an exceptional student whose creativity, analytical skills, and dedication have made her stand out in our school community. Emma has excelled academically, earning high honors throughout high school, is a member of the National Honor Society, and secured a prestigious spot in the New Jersey Governor's School for Engineering and Technology this past summer. As co-leader of the BHS Women's Fencing Saber Squad, Emma's leadership has helped her team thrive, while her personal achievements include ranking in the top 20 for women's saber in the state. Beyond academics and athletics, Emma's passion for service and community impact make her an outstanding candidate for future success. Congratulations, Emma. Next up, we have Ayla Johnson. Ayla is an exemplary student whose intellectual curiosity and compassionate nature have made a lasting impact on our school community. Ayla excels academically as an AP Scholar, National Honor Society member, and consistent high honor roll student, demonstrating her passion for both science and the creative arts. As a 12-season varsity athlete, she leads by example in cross country and track, winning sectionals in pole vaulting while fostering an inclusive team environment. Her dedication to serving others, seen through her work organizing youth volunteers for a women's shelter gala and as a lifeguard for the YMCA, reflects her deep sense of purpose and commitment to making a difference. Congratulations, Ayla. Next, we have Aiden Kinsey. Aiden is an accomplished student leader with a strong background in technical theater and emergency response. Active in the BHS theater program for 4 years, Aiden serves as stage manager, overseeing complex productions and bringing precision and leadership to each production. Aiden thrives in subjects that challenge his intellect and foster a hands-on learning approach, as evidenced by his remarkable performance on AP Physics exam, earning a score of 5. Beyond school, Aiden serves as a cadet captain in the Civil Air Patrol, an honor achieved by fewer than 3% of cadets, where he earned the Amelia Earhart Award, and as a junior firefighter in his local department, showcasing his commitment to service and community. Congratulations. Next up, we have Garrett Sr. Garrett is a quiet leader who sets an example for his peers day in and day out with his paramount work ethic and profound passion for mathematics and physics. His participation in the Physics Olympics, where he helped his team secure second place, showcases not only his academic strength, but also his ability to collaborate and lead. In addition to his academic commitment, Garrett is also a dedicated volunteer who has worked with disabled children at a local YMCA, in addition to his role as a counselor at Soccer Skills. Finally, Garrett is recognized as a scholar athlete whose participation in varsity soccer and golf have allowed him to positively contribute to the fabric of the BHS community and inspire those around him. Congratulations, Garrett. Killian Schlager. Do I see Killian? I don't see him, but I'll read his blurb as well. Though Killian has long expressed his interest in the sciences, he is a true lover of learning who has exemplified remarkable academic prowess, strong sense of curiosity, and strong work ethic during his time at Bernard's. His passion for engineering, particularly in the realm of aerospace, has inspired many of Killian's independent projects, including a detailed research project in computer-aided design software. Beyond academics, Killian has made significant contributions to our school community. Not only has he been editor-in-chief of the school newspaper, The Crimson, but he's also served as vice president of the STEM Club and participated in Harvard Model Congress, where he earned the Best Delegate Award in the Committee on Homeland Security. Further, Killian is also an accomplished athlete, balancing soccer, tennis, and ski racing, and serves as a volunteer firefighter, serving over 500 hours in the community. Congratulations to Killian. Next up, we have Gabe Scotton. Gabe is a dynamic scholar and a presence at Bernard's High School. He's a strong, well-rounded student who wishes to pursue a degree in chemical engineering thanks to his love for science, technology, and mathematics. Beyond his commitment to his studies, Gabe is very involved outside the classroom, serving as a substantial contributor to the school's theater program, where he's designed and built sets, as well as being an active Key Club, Science League, and Chem Club member. Further, Gabe could also be found volunteering in the local library's advisory board or working at ShopRite, all of which helped shape him to become the mature and responsible young man that he is today. Congratulations, Gabe. And the last of our commended students is Maria Stephanie. Maria is a mature, well-spoken, and selfless young woman whose academic presence is only a shadow of the great work she does outside the classroom. As the captain of the field hockey team, she embodies leadership and teamwork, fostering a positive environment where her teammates can excel. In her role as a peer leader, she has taken on significant responsibilities, mentoring freshmen and planning orientation activities that make a lasting impact on their transition to high school. Her dedication to service is further evident through her involvement in the Key Club, where she participates in numerous community service initiatives. While invested in all of her studies, Maria's strongest interests lie at the intersection of STEM and healthcare as she considers a career in the health and medical field one day. Congratulations, Maria. And we do have one student continuing the competition who is a National Merit semifinalist, so it's Pradnesh Lepe. Prad is a student with a burning passion for aerospace engineering, evidenced by his participation in the Physics Olympics, where his team placed second in New Jersey, as well as the Science League. He has also pursued internships at NJIT, focusing on machine learning and artificial intelligence research, where he gained experience in cutting-edge technology and crystallography research. So advanced I can't even say it. Still, his stellar leadership is marked by his involvement in peer leadership, treasurer of the Garden Club, and his role as the vice president of his class. In addition, his involvement in varsity tennis and varsity fencing have only been further highlighted by his recognition as a top 8 county qualifier in fencing, as well as contributions to his team's first place win in the Citrullo's foil squad competition. Congratulations, Prad. Well done, and good luck. We also have 2 National Hispanic Recognition Award winners. First up, we have Franco Escobar Castro. Franco is an outstanding student with a passion for math and interest in pursuing civil engineering. A member of the National Honor Society and honor roll recipient, his problem-solving abilities, especially in adapting to challenging learning environments, demonstrate his perseverance and self-awareness. As a scholar athlete in BHS and soccer and track, Franco has balanced academics with athletics, developing strong teamwork and leadership skills. Congratulations to Franco. Good job. And we have one more recognee for National Hispanic Recognition Award. She's not able to make it tonight, but that's Sofia Leal dos Santos. Sofia has shown exceptional dedication to both her academics and extracurricular activities. She's passionate about mechanical engineering and environmental sustainability. She has demonstrated strong problem-solving skills, particularly in math, and has a drive to excel in her studies. She has contributed nearly 200 hours to the Intercollegiate Equestrian Association, earning recognition for her commitment. Sophia is also a founding member and varsity player on the BHS girls volleyball team, where her leadership and perseverance helped build the program. Additionally, she is active in volunteer work through the Key Club, STEM Mentor Club, and other organizations focused on important causes like food insecurity and mental health awareness. So congratulations to Sophia. And congratulations to all of you. Good job.
Thank you, Dr. Nigel. I think one final congratulations to the whole group is warranted. Mrs. DeGrandpré, we have a recognition for a retiree.
Sure. Whereas Phyllis DeStefano has been employed from September 1982 through June 2025 as an elementary school teacher, and whereas she exemplified expertise, commitment, and professionalism in her duties, and now therefore be it resolved that the Somerset Hills School District and Board of Education recognize Phyllis DeStefano's retirement effective July 1st, 2025, and extend her congratulations and best wishes for a happy, healthy, and enjoyable retirement.
We have at the high school, Bernard's High School this year earned a silver recognition on the 2024 AP Scholar Honor Roll. Schools can earn a space in this honor roll annually with 4 levels of distinction, ranging from bronze through platinum. In addition to having full-time grade 12 enrollment and being located in the United States, for a school to earn this recognition, it must meet each of the following criteria with the most recent graduating class. College and culture, 40% or more of the graduating cohort needs to take at least one AP exam during high school. 25% or more of the graduating cohort needs to score a 3 or higher on at least one AP exam during high school, and 2% of the graduating cohort that took 5 or more AP exams during high school needs to take place. At least one of those exams needs to be taken at 9th grade or 10th grade so that students are spreading their AP experience across grades rather than overloading in one particular grade. The high school here offers 22 AP classes, and the high school had 68% of its seniors who took at least one AP exam during high school. 61% of seniors scored a 3 or higher on at least one AP exam, and 8% of seniors took 5 or more AP exams. We have a nearby Bedminster resident, Dan Loran Larson. He has a long-standing career in the Coast Guard. He lives over in Bedminster, and he collects golf balls and he donates them to the district. He lives over in the Burnt Mill section. He takes daily morning walks and heads into the woods, strolling across the riverbank. Starting in the end of 2023, he gathered and cleaned and donated 1,011 golf balls to the district. And Coach Dan brought this to our attention, and the golf team definitely benefits from them. And believe it or not, some of the golf balls he donated to the district found his way back on his walk along one of the golf courses that he walks by. So he just kind of appeared to the district, and he's a great friend to us, and he certainly performs a great service. So it's kind of fun to be able to learn about things like that. I'm going to ask for some assistance from Ricky here. We have a student at the high school. Oh, this is the I'm showing my age with my glasses situation. This is our yearbook. The Bernardian has achieved a host of awards. We may have skipped a slide, my friend. I think we need to go back one. But the Bernardian has won a host of awards in the yearbook space, and continuing a great trend. We have a student at the high school, Ella Patel, who earned an award called the Best of SNO and its school newspaper online. She wrote an opinion article entitled Journalism May Be Eligible for 21st Century Credit that was selected for publication by SNO. This is the first Best of SNO for this current school year for the high school and the very first entry submitted by the Crimson. So far this year, the Best of SNO has received 3,200 entries and only published 15% of them. Of those, only 2 have been from New Jersey, and one of the 2 is from our very own Ella Patel. Lola Parente was honored and named as the Everyday Hero for this month at the high school, primarily because she's extremely influential outside of the classroom. She's a president of Campbell's Flutterflies Club. It's an organization whose mission it is to raise awareness and money to fund childhood cancer research. Lola recently spearheaded an extraordinary school-wide fundraiser in honor of her classmate Campbell Hoyt, who lost her cancer battle. Through her efforts, she managed to raise, along with the school and community, $24,000 for the St. Baldrick's Foundation, a feat that has left our entire school community in awe. She not only organized and executed the fundraiser for the school, but solicited donations across our region. And she vows to run it again, and she hopes to double the amount of money raised. That's a big deal. Our field hockey coach, Sarah Falzerano, was recognized by the New Jersey Field Hockey Coaches Association for coaching in her 400th game this season. She's ranked in the top 30 all-time in games coached in the entire history of the state of New Jersey. And the New Jersey Field Hockey Coaches Association has her coaching record at the beginning of this season at 270, 115 losses and 15 ties. This is her 21st season in Bernards, and she is indeed the longest tenured coach in Somerset County. Congratulations. And she's here. The middle school has a green team. They kicked off this school year with a winter coat drive, and they are continuing to engage in environmentally focused activities, including energy conservation efforts, upcycling projects, scavenger hunts, and sustainability initiatives. They're doing tea planting and garden work. They will culminate their activities this year in various eco-friendly events and Earth Day events. The high school has a Girl Up Club, and they started an empowerment initiative last year. One of the components for the club is to create an informative display in the History Hallway, display case every month for various Heritage Month celebrations with goals to decorate, educate, and celebrate. For October, the Girl Up Club collaborated with the Spanish Club to learn about and to honor all things of Hispanic heritage during that month. Bedwell has the Be Well Club. The Be Well Girls is an after-school wellness program that takes place at Bedwell. It promotes positive emotional, social, and mental and physical development in girls specifically. It combines a variety of fitness activities, meditation, and art projects with lessons designed to encourage girls to embrace their individual strengths. Be Well Girls provides girls with fun and creative ways to express their feelings, to discover what they're good at, make connections, and to overall stay healthy. Themes include self-respect, stress, body image, team building, communication, navigating friendships, mindfulness, and fitness through activities such as art, exercise, meditation, discussion, dance, self-care, and yoga. We have an art club and an art program at our middle school, and it exists for students that want to expand a variety of skill sets and knowledge in a multitude of areas in art. We have an open studio environment, and they are able to explore an array of mediums and materials to explore their creative side. Ms. Chafee is our advisor there, and she's doing just beautiful work. We recently held a Veterans Day ceremony at the high school, and we honored alumni from the classes of 1963 and 1964 who served in our country in the Vietnam War. We hosted a small recognition ceremony, and we had a large gathering of alumni from 1963 and 1964 who came back for the event. And the students, present-day students here, had the opportunity to thank them for their service. And one of the big takeaways that I had that the folks wanted to impart, not only to the students, also those of us in the community that were in attendance, was to take the opportunity to thank a veteran. And they talked about how far that does go. Just a simple thank you for your service, was reinforced with me and with the audience how important it is to hear that. And they did attend a football game later that week. Many of the servicemen and servicewomen that were in attendance, and they challenged the students to thank them or thank a veteran. And when they see them, and a few of them did come up to me and said that the Bernards High School students did a great job and did take the bait. So it was a great thing to see and hear. Additionally, staff and students participated in the Red, White, and Blue Day. They raised money for the GI Go Fund. Social studies teacher Kelly Clark at the high school facilitated this project, and she also facilitated the purchase of the banners saluting the veterans that are on our campus, on our light poles. Many of you have commented about them outside, and it was certainly well received by Mrs. Clark. We've had an opportunity to have some great community connections with the kids over at Bedwell. There was a National Walk to School Day event early in the school year, and our Bernardsville Fire Company #1 has spent some time over at Bedwell teaching the youngsters about all things about fire safety. And let this be a reminder to all the adults in the room to change the batteries in your fire alarms if you haven't already, if they're not hardwired. It's always a good thing to do. And one of the key areas of success for any child is to be able to have outlets outside of the academic day. The district here has a robust extracurricular program that is offered to students through various clubs that take place after school. The high school did conduct what I would consider to be a very successful club and student activities fair for that extracurricular program early on in the year. Kids had the opportunity to examine different opportunities that met their interest level, and it really was great to see. We have our Pathways to Success. We do anticipate being able to publish our second edition for the school year at the winter break, and that is available on our website. And our Friday folders are always popular, so if you're not signed up for the Friday folder, be certain to do that. I serve the borough of Bernardsville as a trustee on the Bernardsville Public Library board. And last night we had a board meeting, and one of my colleagues on the board shared with me that his mother lives in Arizona, and she has the Friday folder, and she gets it every Friday, and she forwards along things to her educator friends in her community. So there's like a gaggle of folks in Arizona that do get the Friday folder as well, which I thought was great. Moving on to some more district level updates. We are in an annual auditing cycle now. We're being audited in two separate areas. The first area is what's called the Quality Single Accountability Continuum. Every district in New Jersey goes through this process every 3 years. There are 5 areas that what we call QSAC examines. They examine instruction and program. What's involved in instruction and program is a combination of really more compliance and evaluation of our curriculum to ensure that all of our curricula that we avail to the students and that the board approves is connected to the appropriate state standards as set forth by the New Jersey Board of Education. And the second half of the instruction and program score is connected to student achievement. So those two scores merge together and you create one output for instruction and program. There's also sections in the area of personnel, in the area of governance, and governance is a lot of our board functions. There's a section in operations, and there's a section in the area of finance. So those 5 sections come together, and the state conducts, like I said, an assessment in those areas. We do conduct a compliance upload to the Department of Education for a variety, and provide a variety of documents and information kind of to the department at their request. They do follow up with on-site visits during the school year to speak further about particular areas of interest or areas of emphasis at the department. We have a safety and health evaluation process as well. That is done every year, but this year they also combine that with an on-site visit as well. So what they will do in our health and safety visits in December is they will look in a lot of our instructional spaces. They'll look predominantly, or they really do pay particular attention in our preschool and kindergarten spaces, in our science labs, in our nurse's office, in our gen ed spaces. They conduct, or they verify that all of our systems and structures and facilities are in proper working condition. So the health and safety evaluation will take place in December, and that will be conducted by the county business administrator. We also have, we're part of cohort 2 for special education program monitoring. The state splits folks up into 6 cohorts. So we are in a, we're in cohort 2, and they will monitor all of our practices to improve our results and our outcomes with students with disabilities. They will also develop support plans as needed in the event that there are particular areas in our compliance that they would like to see done differently, et cetera. The design is to examine the needs of the school district in the area of special education. It also emphasizes compliance in the area of IDEA, that's the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and it ensures that IDEA and our outcomes are aligned to student achievement. Monitoring will include an audit of our programs, an audit of our kids to ensure that they're being placed in a least restrictive environment. They will examine IEPs. They will examine how they're implemented. They will examine our transition initiatives for students that are 16. They'll examine discipline and any restraint or seclusion that may have taken place in a particular time period. And for a particular group of our most at-risk students, they will examine our dynamic learning map participation and evaluation processes there. So we're in the tier 1 phase of that. That concludes in the early winter, and we will provide about 30 student records and evaluation information to the department for them to examine for compliance purposes. There's a tier 2, which is based on your tier 1 interaction with the department. So if that comes to fruition, I will certainly update the board. On December 12th, we are having a task force examine 2 website hosting platforms, and we're looking forward to that. Our website is aging and in need of a significant refresh. We're also starting to engage in our strategic planning work for, really for 2030, believe it or not. So I would like to get a group of interested stakeholders in our community, parents, staff, certain students, to create a successor strategic plan that will replace the expiring plan. And we are well into our district budgeting cycle for the next fiscal year. Next week, all the schools and departments will have their budgets in to me and Ginny, and we will begin our processes in advance of engaging with the Finance Committee of the board and the various committees of the board for further examination and consideration and review. So we're deep into that. We will have a budget retreat in early March or mid-March, depending upon when the state establishes their hearing dates, et cetera, and their requirements. In late March, very early April, we will adopt a tentative budget and authorize the administration to work through the approval logistics with the County Office of Education. And then in late April, you will adopt a final budget. Moving forward in the area of our lower fields at the high school, tonight there's a motion on the agenda to allocate resources and to renovate and enhance the baseball field, the softball field, and the adjoining outfields between those two fields. There's an allocation on the agenda for $110,000 that allows for the work that I reported at the October public meeting. It also allows for further renovation of the baseball infield. That has been requested in multiple public engagements I've had with folks, particularly connected to the baseball program. So I'm looking forward to drafting a purchase order tomorrow and then moving that work forward. This process, as the board knows, has been comprehensive. There are multiple issues that we've examined with the lower fields. We've identified multiple options to remedy those issues. The drainage issues will remain, frankly, due to economic factors, but both fields will have renovated playing surfaces in advance of spring season. So that would be baseball, softball, and the outfield adjoining both. We did have some significant partnerships, not only with folks that are connected to baseball and softball, but also with various committees on the board. Our Facility and Operations Committee I'd like to thank, in addition to the Finance Committee, allowing me to have the space to take a deep dive into what's in the best interest here of playability and getting up and running for spring of '25, which frankly is right around the corner. So some, bittersweet, personally bittersweet, and for the district bittersweet news. Our business administrator, Mrs. DeMarco, is leaving the school district. Her next chapter begins on December 15th. She leaves us in a very strong position from a fiscal perspective. She has done a tremendous amount of work and allowed us to do a great amount of work with respect to our facilities, particularly in the last 2 to 3 years. We've done a lot of great work here. She's been an absolute rock, and we wish her well. We thank her for her service, and certainly we're all very hopeful that your next chapter is as enjoyable as I'm sure this was. So that leaves us with a motion that is on the agenda for tonight to approve School Office Solutions to provide some consultant services in the area of school business. That is, it's going to be a consultancy model. We will also, in December, approve an interim business administrator and board secretary to serve the district in concert with School Office Solutions as well. So that's on the horizon for Ms. DeMarco's replacement. Looking ahead, I spoke about budget development. We will be reviewing our enrollment projections in January. We conducted an enrollment study in February 2024, and we will be going through the information found therein. There are projections assuming no new development, and there are projections assuming new development based upon some activity that's taking place at the planning board. So we will be doing that in January. Our enrollment projections do have an impact on our staffing. They do have an impact on our budget, and they do have an impact on putting the budget together. Our board will reorganize in January, and we will take some time into December to thank and to recognize our outgoing board members. Strategic planning is on the horizon, as is what's called the mid-year budget review with the New Jersey Department of Education. Additionally, although it's not on the slide, but it certainly is a speaking point, we have 2 employment contracts with our Education Association and our Administrative Association that we are in the process of engaging in negotiation successor contracts for. They're at the beginning, but certainly we're beginning that work, and looking forward to an on-time settlement for both. And lastly, I'd like to wish a happy Thanksgiving to the board and certainly the community here tonight. There you go.
Thank you very much, Dr. Burchell. At this time, we will move on to the public comments for actionable agenda items. We very much welcome input from the public. Public comments are welcome at this time on any actionable agenda item. Towards the end of the meeting, there is a second public forum on any topic. Please state your name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you will be interrupted and asked to pause to allow any other members of the public who would like to speak an opportunity to do so. An individual may return to the podium to complete their statement after everyone else has had an opportunity to speak for a total of 2 times at the podium. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board feels there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment. In accordance with New Jersey statute, the board will not discuss matters regarding specific personnel. Public comments will be limited to 30 minutes for this session. A reminder for all parties in attendance to remain respectful and that there should be no interaction between the speaker and the audience, and no members of the audience should interfere with or interrupt a speaker's comment. We thank you in advance for your input, and I just am going to direct any speakers to Mr. Marco's timer, which will count down from 3 minutes to make you aware of your time remaining before I would have to interrupt. Is there anyone who would like to take the podium on an actionable agenda item at this time? No. Okay, then can I get a motion to close public comments, please? Ms. Nathans and Ms. Cooper, thank you. We will then move on to the approval of the minutes. I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the public input and action and executive meeting minutes for October 16th, 2024, and the special meeting and executive meeting minutes for November 12th, 2024. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please? Ms. Santoro and Ms. Rye, and is there any discussion related to the minutes? No? Okay, then roll call, please, Mr. Marco.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. DeGrandpré?
Yes.
Ms. Gills?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
And Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. We are going to do a little bit of movement here on the agenda this evening. It is noted on your agenda that the Finance Committee report would be next, but given information that is going to be shared through Facilities and Operations, it makes more sense for them to present their committee report this evening first, and then Finance will follow. So, Ms. Santoro, if you could please give the report of F&O.
Okay, so F&O met on November 5th at 5 p.m. We had most members in attendance with our sub Felicia joining us, and Ms. DeMarco and Dr. Broschel. We predominantly discussed the BHS lower fields and the 25-26 capital projects. So Dr. Brochel just spent a lot of time talking about the lower fields, and as we've discussed pretty much every month since August, the committee has been working with the administration to understand what is going on and how best to proceed for our students and staff. So as Dr. Brochel said, this has been a well-developed plan. We've done a lot of research. We've considered budget and things that we can do within a reasonable time frame. So I won't belabor what has already been explained, but I will say that the committee is in support of moving forward with the work on the agenda, the allocation of $110,000 to do the work to improve the lower fields, baseball, softball, and the adjoining outfield. So, you know, if we have any discussions or more questions about that, we can do that after the report. We then spoke about the 25-26 capital projects, and we just at a high level discussed the projects that are currently under consideration for next year. They would include the tennis courts. There is repair that needs to happen over at the tennis courts. So that is one of the main considerations, and renovations to the PAC. We've done some improvements over the past few years, but the audio package and a curtain replacement remains. We discussed cell booster at the middle school and door access and security at all buildings. Finally, we got an update on the turf lights. The application was submitted to the planning board, and we are awaiting the date for our courtesy review with the planning board. Real briefly, we touched on the BHS track. That is complete now, officially, right? Yep, so we are very pleased to see that that work was completed and hope everybody is enjoying the new track out there. We got a brief update on breakfast because we started serving breakfast this year. Service numbers have been low, but it is still new, and we feel like students are just getting used to this as an option. So the staff is working on making sure that everybody is aware that it is available, and working on ways to make sure that it is you know, that the kids know that they can come and get this. And I think it'll evolve over time. And then we have 2 items left. The administration reviewed the new Oprah request form. This is based on state law. So the form requires some additional details from the requester and some attestations regarding legal proceedings. Sorry about that. And then we talked about utilizing our current architecture firm, Solutions Architecture, to help with referendum tasks that we are considering for next year. And what we are looking, Dr. Brochel is recommending that we hire them to do 2 items of work: a district-wide facilities health check, which will cost $76,000. But in reviewing the materials, it's going to provide us with a wealth of information on the facilities, each of our schools, what we currently have in place. We don't really have any land to expand on, so we have to make sure that we're maximizing the space that we have. So it would consist of a review of all of our buildings and facilities and document that and make recommendations for how we can improve them. And then also a pre-referendum communication service proposal, which is on the agenda for $68,500. This is to support the work if we decide to move forward with a referendum of getting prepared to do that, working with all the various stakeholders and community members, and really helping us to prepare to put that forth to the community.
Okay, thank you so much. So then at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 through 6 on the agenda. Ms. Santoro, and would anyone like to make a second? Ms. Nathans, and discussion regarding facilities and operations. Yes, Ms. Wright?
I just, excluding myself because I'm on the committee, I just really want to commend the committee on the extensive work that they've put into trying to fix the very dire problems in the lower field. And I know that I've heard people say to me, well, it's all about football all the time, and I just want to let the community know that it's just not. The problems there are real, and that the committee cares very much about those problems and is working to its fullest extent to fix them.
Is there anybody else regarding F&O? No?
Sam,
Yeah.
can I did neglect one thing on our report here, that we are going to recommend, also administration is recommending and the committee supports to use Sport Care to maintain the fields once the work has been done. Our team has done a terrific job. It's a lot of work and it's only a small portion of everything that they do. So after the work has been completed, there is a company that provides specific upgrades or maintenance work to fields. So, we are going to recommend that we use that going forward.
And it's a level of specialization that while our maintenance and custodial staff are amazing, they have a lot that they are responsible for.
Yeah.
So this is a level of specialization, and a maintenance contract to that end would certainly be very beneficial in extending the life of the work that we will be putting in. So,
Yeah, thank you.
is there anybody else? Nope. Okay, then roll call, please.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper? Mrs. D. Grandpré?
Yes.
Ms. Gills?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
And Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thanks so much. And now we will jump back on the agenda to the report of the Finance Committee. Mr. Baker.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met November the 5th for about an hour. All committee members were in attendance, along with Dr. Broschel and Mrs. DeMarco. We discussed 6 items that I'm going to talk about tonight. As far as the budget goes, we talked about a lot of what Dr. Broschel talked about in his initial presentation, that we're going to adopt the calendar. The calendar is the same calendar, just goes through what we have to do between now and May. So the calendar is the same as last year, but with just some new dates on it. So we're going to present the draft budget in this meeting on March the 19th. Will be a draft. It'll be a tentative budget. We're going to have a hearing on April the 30th, and we can approve the budget that night if the board feels so inclined, based on what the public may or may not tell us. The next item we talked about were the capital projects, and I'm not going to go over those again because Mrs. Santoro did a great job talking about those, but we're going to work on those the next couple of months, seeing what are the critical items, what can we do now based on what the budget is. And based on the audit that we just finished with the last school year, which we'll get the final report in a couple of months, we think we can move about $1.5 million to $1.7 million into the capital reserve for next year's budget. So that number's in that ballpark. So all those capital projects can be part of that money, along with what's already there too. So, but you don't want to spend the whole thing away. You want to leave something there. So we have to play with that. We talked about the drainage on the lower fields, and that's number 11. That's on the agenda item, which we'll be approving at $110,000, not to exceed. I think it's important, if we didn't mention, the only thing I can think of is once these fields are fixed, we don't want anybody, we don't want the football team or the soccer team or anybody else down there practicing, because it's not a good idea. So we have plenty of other fields now at the Polo Grounds and Alcott. We have 3 donations we're going to approve on the agenda, number 13 and 14. One is from the PAC parents for $2,000, which will go toward the microphones to be used in the PAC to give the audio much better than it is now. We got another $2,000 from the Community in Crisis organization, which is right down here on Church Street, for $2,000 to help pay a stipend for the Wellness Club. That's all. And there's an item on the personnel agenda for approving those members who will receive that stipend. We talked about the referendum, as Mrs. Santoro mentioned, and we're going to be. We gave approval to Dr. Brochel to spend the money for our architect on those 2 items to get the referendum going correctly. And we'll be reporting on the referendum probably every month from now until next November. And I think that's all I have to talk about, okay? So I will turn it back to Mrs. Frenda.
Thank you so much, Mr. Baker. So then I would like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 through 18 on the agenda, please.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Baker, in a second. Mr. Grandpré? Okay, and discussion. Nope. Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. De Grandpré?
Yes.
Ms. Gills?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
And Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and at this time, I would like to ask if anybody has anything for old or new business for finance or F&O. No? Okay, thank you. Then we will move on to the report of the Curriculum Committee. Ms. Cooper?
Thank you. The Curriculum Committee met Tuesday, November 5th for 2 hours. Mr. Baker, Ms. Frenda, Ms. Santoro, and I attended along with Dr. Brochel, Dr. Butler, Ms. Barna, Mr. Catelli, Dr. Edgerton, and Dr. Walker. So we had a lot of exciting topics to discuss, including several new course proposals for the 2024 to 2025 school year. First, Dr. Walker proposed a leadership and college readiness class for high school juniors to be held in the spring. Currently, seniors can enroll in an elective in the fall that assists with the college application process, but many students start the process before they can take the elective. By offering a similar course for juniors, interested students would be able to navigate the college exploration process in the spring to get a jump start on the process. In the proposed course, juniors will work on college essays, compile research on potential college options, compile personal learning style and aptitude surveys, and present an oral report to the class on a profession of their choosing. It will also include a leadership development component and a series of presentations by business and community leaders. The cost of the course will include the cost of staffing and approximately $1,000 for curriculum writing. Next, Mr. Catelli joined us to discuss restructuring the ESL support program at the high school. Currently, ESL support is divided into beginner ESL support and intermediate ESL support. This format is somewhat limiting for students and difficult to schedule given the necessary course requirements. Since ESL support is highly individualized and students are given tailored instruction regardless of the level to which they are assigned, Mr. Catelli proposes calling it ESL support without the indicated levels. This change will not affect instruction, but it will provide additional scheduling flexibility. Ms. Barna then proposed rewriting the Journalism 2 class at the high school to count as a 21st century life and career requirement. Currently, Journalism 2 is an English elective in which students serve as top level editors of the school newspaper, The Crimson. Currently, this course is an elective only and does not fulfill any graduation requirements. Unfortunately, instances have been reported in which students cannot take Journalism 2 because they need to take a course that fulfills a graduation requirement. Consequently, Ms. Barna proposes to revise the Journalism 2 curriculum so that it provides students the opportunity to meet the career readiness, life literacies, and key skills curricular standard, enabling the course to fulfill the 21st century life and careers graduation requirement. The cost of this course will include the cost of staffing, $600 for curriculum writing, and $5,000 for a technology update, including the acquisition of a new or updated device or computer. Ms. Barna also presented a proposal to restructure the choral program at the high school. Currently, first-year students with upper voices, or altos and sopranos, are enrolled in chorus, while first-year students with lower voices, or tenors and basses, are enrolled in the concert choir. After the first year, all students can either move to or continue in concert choir or try it for madrigals. In the new model, Ms. Barna and Mr. Lapine proposed to run 2 different courses for first-year students, one for students with upper voices and one for students with lower voices. After the first year, all students will try out for either chorale or madrigals. Students who are not accepted into chorale or madrigals can stay in the introductory choral class. According to Ms. Barna and Mr. Lapine, the new model will increase equity among students, provide better tiering of levels of student performance, provide multiple levels of achievement to allow for more growth and development, and facilitate the retention of students through their 4 years of high school. Finally, Ms. Walker proposed a new dual enrollment course through the University of Delaware on entrepreneurship. This dual enrollment course will provide students with the opportunity to take a business elective without the need for the district to hire a certified business teacher. The NTREX curriculum will be licensed from the University of Delaware on an annual basis and can be taught by any high school teacher with an interest in business who is willing to undergo training. The NTREX curriculum provides a comprehensive introduction to entrepreneurship through experiential learning, reflection, and an evidence-based approach. Students will explore real-world problems and transform them into opportunities. The cost of the proposed course includes the cost of staffing, $1,500 for the annual curriculum licensing fee, which will be waived if 10 or more students participate, and a $1,900 for a one-time staff training fee, and $500 for minor curriculum revisions. The curriculum fully supported each of these proposals and was particularly enthusiastic about offering the college readiness course for juniors and the new dual enrollment course with UDEL. Committee members asked whether there were resources available to support kids interested in the entrepreneurship but could not pay the fee to enroll in this option. And according to Dr. Butler and Dr. Brochel, funds are not reserved for this in the budget, but there are ways for these fees to be covered for students who can't afford them. We were also encouraged by the fact that the ESL restructuring will provide more flexibility, enabling students requiring ESL support to more easily fulfill their course requirements and take the classes they're interested in. Next, Dr. Edgerton joined us to discuss a potential solution to a staffing challenge at the middle school. Unfortunately, the administration has been unable to find a certified technology teacher to fill a leave position. To fill this gap, Dr. Edgerton proposes to offer middle school students an enrichment course focused on STEM, called Enrichment in Independent Investigations. This course will be designed to provide students in grades 5 through 8 with opportunities to engage in independent investigations centered around STEM topics. Students will be introduced to the independent investigation method of identifying an appropriate research inquiry, conducting research, and developing a project that represents their research. By allowing students to explore various interests through guided research, this course aims to enhance their critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and prepare them for advanced studies, scientific literacy, and future STEM opportunities. And Dr. Edgerton did indicate that this enrichment experience would also provide an opportunity to explore research-based concepts tested in grades 5 and 8 in the NJSLA science exams. The committee recognized that this may be the best solution to a difficult staffing challenge, given that technology teachers are in very high demand. Our committee member suggested expanding the course to include the arts by expanding the focus from STEM to STEAM. We then moved on to a discussion about the Youth Summit held last month to address anti-Semitism and inquired about next steps to reach students who were not identified as student leaders. We also briefly discussed the key highlights from our trip to the NJSBA convention, which all committee members attended. Sessions on AI were particularly popular and instructive. The next items on the agenda were field trips and professional developments and school business requests. No concerns were raised by the committee regarding any of these requests. Dr. Brochel then recommended that the board join the Garden State Coalition of Schools, an association of approximately 100 school districts that serves 300,000 students primarily in suburban areas. This association advocates at the state level for quality public education in New Jersey and also serves its members and the public by informing them of key legislative and educational developments. Dr. Brochel recommended that the district join this coalition because he has historically found it to be very useful. The committee agreed, given that it has a constant presence in Trenton and that it has the ability to mobilize local educators, state legislators, and policymakers when needed. Dr. Butler then shared the draft of the AI plan proposed by the committee. This plan offers broad and general guidance to provide flexibility as the field rapidly evolves. Dr. Butler emphasized the need for additional professional development in AI. Before the meeting, Dr. Butler shared the draft of the high school's school profile. We did not discuss it during the meeting. And finally, the administrators shared the response of the county education program development specialist, Susan Bruder, to our curriculum after her review of it. She said, quote, such a stunning curriculum, comprehensive, the right amount of language to convey intent and succinct, unquote. Congratulations to the curriculum specialists and the administrative team for their hard work and dedication. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Then at this time, I would like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 through 4 on the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Ms. Cooper, and a second? Mr. Grandpré, and is there any discussion related to curriculum?
I have a question. Nicole, I'm not understanding how Mr. Catelli's point of changing it to ESL support. Is he getting rid of the levels 1s, 2s, 3s? Or is he condensing them?
Can you?
No, I'm happy to answer. No, what he's doing is changing the title of some of these courses so that there's more flexibility for our MO students in the other courses that they're taking. So that if they need a particular level of support that's only offered at one time, this way they could take it at a different time, allowing them to then increase the number of other courses they could take.
Okay, thank you.
So everyone will still get the same level of support that they need. There'll just be more flexibility within their schedules.
Okay, thanks.
Is there anybody else for curriculum? No? Okay, then roll call, please.
Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. de Grandpré?
Yes.
Ms. Gills?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
And Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And then is there anybody who has anything for new or old business for curriculum, future agenda?
I would like to revisit the health curriculum, the opt-in versus opt-out. If you
Can you
do
just
that.
clarify what part of that you'd like us to revisit?
The part where the parents have to opt out of it rather than opt into it.
Okay.
I think, because I know you cited, somebody cited 1% non-participation, 6% non-participation the following year dropped to 1. I just want to make sure that it's not slipping through the cracks and that parents are aware of this, because I've spoken to parents who aren't aware that this is in the curriculum. So they're not knowing, and they're sending their kids into the school receiving information that they may not feel their child is ready to receive or that they want to address themselves. So, and if the committee is so confident, why not just do an opt-in? We have time to do that this
I'm
year.
just going to interrupt because now we're
Yeah.
going into discussion that would take place at the committee level.
Okay,
This
so
is just
for the
for a,
committee for the next meeting.
Okay, but just I'm just looking to clarify what the ask is for the administration. So what I hear you saying is that you want us to articulate to the committee the efforts that we will formalize to apprise all families of their ability to opt out.
No, I want them to be able to opt in and forget the opt out.
Okay, so we'll certainly be able to discuss that in committee.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Mhm.
And just to that, I had shared with Ms. Cooper that we had a community recommendation of another way to have the opt-out forms there, or whatever occurs with opt-in or opt-out. So I know that was going to be brought to the next committee meeting as well for curriculum.
does anyone else have anything for new or old business for curriculum? Nope. Okay, then we will move on to personnel.
Okay. The Policy and Personnel Committee met on November 4th for 2 hours. Ms. Ballard, Ms. Gills, Ms. Frenda, Dr. Burchell, and I were in attendance. In regards to personnel, we reviewed the current agenda.
Okay. Thank you so much. Then I would like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 through 12 on the agenda.
I'll make the
Mr.
motion.
Grandpré and Ms. Rai is second. Is there any discussion related to personnel? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. G. Grandpré?
Yes.
Ms. Gills?
Yes.
Ms. Nathans?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
And Mrs. Frenda?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and is there any new or old business as it relates to personnel for future agendas? Nope. Okay, well then we're moving on to policy, Mr. Grandpré.
Okay, so we started the policy portion of our discussion with a discussion around 5710, which is facility use policy. Since the last discussion that we had here in public, there was discussion with the youth sports organizations, and they were amenable to doing a time study for concerns in terms of the lighted field times within the district, and seeing now that we do have lighting at polo grounds, if there was enough lighting within the town fields plus our predetermined to 8 p.m. and 16 visits past 8 p.m. They were going to provide feedback to the board and continue to have discussions if they do run into field constraints. The committee at this point was comfortable moving forward with the current lighting times and the prior recommended changes that we talked about here in regards to removal of the Pop Warner language that was there and the light fees being removed in the policy section. So this policy will be looking to be moved forward when it is deemed appropriate for the lighting changes to be placed in the policy. We then went on to talk about volunteer coaches, booster clubs, and the follow-up of the combination of those two policies for cross-referencing. The volunteer coaches policy was reviewed, looking to see if the financial cap language for donations to volunteer coaches was in there to match the booster club policy. So that will be getting some additions, and additionally the committee discussed in regards to volunteer coaches and coaching their own children that may reside within their households on fields. And overall, the committee felt that this could lead to potential bias, either conscious or unconscious, of the volunteer coaches, and recommended that we do take a look at this in terms of placing direct coaching positions with their children as a volunteer position. So Dr. Brochel was going to work with the AD to determine how this was currently and look at our policy implementation in regards to that. So this will be coming forward as well with the changes with the inclusion of the financial language in the future. We also had a presentation on artificial intelligence. I won't reiterate that, but it will be coming back to the policy committee to on probably a biannual cadence for looking at updates that may need to be placed, as well as there was a discussion around input from the recent school board's presentations and other districts that have some robust policies to try and take a look at some of theirs and see what we could implement in ours as well. We then had a lengthy discussion regarding policy 5756, which is transgender students, the New Jersey law against discrimination, and the NJDOE communication regarding guidance for districts on transgender students. The largest voice concern was around suicide prevention risk with student population and parent notification status without a active verbalization of suicide intent. First, the district respects all students and their rights to gender expression. Secondly, the district takes all student mental health and suicide risk incredibly seriously. And third, the district is happy to partner with any families on student gender transition and currently does. The concern is around the school's notification of parents when students do not include parents yet in the discussions of their gender expression. This would currently be in violation of our policy and the DOE recommendations and the NJ law against discrimination. The committee is aware of a number of districts that are in current litigation surrounding the transgender policy and parent notification, and the committee opted to continue to track current litigation and await further legal determinations prior to making any changes. In the meantime, we will continue to support our students in any way that we possibly can. We did also go on to review the current policy agenda items, which are none for actionable at this time.
Okay, thank you. So since we don't have any items to move this month, I would ask if there is any discussion related to the policy report. Yes.
I know we spoke about waiting on the outcomes of these cases, but who knows how long that can take? So why must we wait on that? I mean, it was clearly stated it was not law. You're keeping pertinent information from parents about their child, not our child. And it contradicts with another policy where if a child is suicidal, we have to inform the parents.
Okay, so let me take some time just to share that there is guidance from the New Jersey Department of Education that speaks in no uncertain terms to superintendents, and they have outlined this guidance. And I'm just going to read a few of the areas of guidance that I think are critical to this particular area of inquiry regarding the policy. Because this is the merging of three separate areas of direction. The first is the New Jersey law against discrimination. The second is Board of Education policy, and the third is a directive to school districts from the Office of the Commissioner. So I'm going to read to you what the Commissioner tells us to do. And you're going to hear a lot of what is in our policy. So the intended purpose of the guidance is to help school and district administration to take steps to create an inclusive environment in which transgender and gender nonconforming students feel safe and supported, and to ensure that each school provides equal education opportunities for all students in compliance with administrative code. Communication with that student is paramount. Schools and school districts are encouraged to communicate openly, albeit confidentially, with students regarding their transgender status or gender identity. Proper communication with the student will ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to determine a student's preferences and address potential privacy concerns and associated risks to the student's well-being. A school district shall accept a student's asserted gender identity. Parental consent is not required. There is no affirmative duty for any school district personnel to notify a student's parent or guardian of the student's gender identity or expression. A parent or guardian may object to the minor student's name change. Staff should refer to the student in accordance with the student's chosen name and pronoun at school, and may consider providing resource information regarding family counseling and support services outside of the school district. The school district should be mindful of disputes between minor students and parents and guardians concerning a student's gender identity and expression. School district personnel should have open but confidential discussion with the student to ascertain the student's preference on matters such as chosen name, chosen pronoun to use, and parental communications. Such school districts should discuss with the student and any other individuals at the student's request the risk associated with the student's transgender status being inadvertently disclosed. School districts must comply with administrative code, which prohibits the harassment, intimidation, and bullying of students. School districts should provide staff training on sensitivity, social emotional learning concepts. School districts shall honor and recognize a student's asserted gender identity. In the area of confidentiality and privacy, school personnel may not disclose information that may reveal a student's transgender status except as allowed by law. School districts shall keep confidential a current, new, or prospective student's transgender status. Due to a specific and compelling need, such as the health and safety of a student or an incident of bias-related crime, a school district may be obligated to disclose a student's status. The school district should inform the student that the school intends to disclose the student's transgender status for the student's protection and well-being. Prior to disclosure, the student should be given the opportunity to personally disclose that information. These and other items serve as direction for how school principals and school administrators work through these particular areas. We also have a suicide prevention policy, which candidly is an extraordinarily serious event and extraordinarily important policy. And certainly, if there is a child in our care that is actively suicidal, we would certainly implement all necessary measures to ensure their safety as applicable to the commissioner's directive. There has not been an update to the directive in some time. I would say this is approximately 4 or 5 years old. And this, absent any policy and absent the law against discrimination, this is what serves as my fallback.
Right, but you said it in the beginning, it's guidance, it's not law.
So I just want to be clear, this is what I will follow.
And I want to make a statement here because I had the opposite reaction, and I appreciate the robust conversation that you had in committee and the report on it. But this board has, by the majority, made a decision that this policy, 5756, is beneficial for children. It supports our transgender students, and so I had the opposite reaction in, obviously, we need to stay abreast of the law and legal changes. That's our responsibility. But I'm not sure why we're waiting on anything. The board by majority vote upholds this policy and thinks it's the right and good thing to do for our transgender students. So I'm not sure why this is on the table again. I mean, it's your prerogative to put it there. However, I do think that it has been in discussion for at least 2 years. It has been decided by the majority, and I'm not, waiting for districts that overturn the policy and are now having legal ramifications for that. That to me is, we have a policy, the board voted by majority for this policy, and it is a good policy that supports the students in our district.
Okay, I just want to be clear. I want to be clear, I do not want to eradicate 5756. And some of the language you used implied that that's what I want. I don't. These children need to be protected. What concerns me is not involving the parents. With a group of students or students who have about an 80% suicide ideation and about a 41% attempted suicide. And we are keeping that information from the people who are their parents or guardians. That is the thing that I find offensive in that policy. Not the whole policy, but I get to know, or Dr. Brochel gets to know, that my son is transgendered, but I don't. And I think that's really, really inappropriate. And it goes beyond the scope of what a school is meant to do. If you're trying to protect our transgendered students, we are failing them because they're coming to us saying, I feel like I am in the wrong body, I belong in this body, these are my pronouns, these are my name, this is my name. We respect that. But you already know now that this child is at a high risk for suicide. 41% is a pretty high risk. I mean, if you told me, look, your kid has a 41% risk of suicide, would you like to chance it? No, I wouldn't like to chance it. So that's all the clapping, oh, she wants to get rid of the 5756. I want parents to know. If your child comes out to a school administrator, faculty, You don't have to know. You're not told. You don't have to be told, hey, your kid is transgendered. Hey, your kid goes by John. Hey, your kid goes by they, them. We don't tell the parents anything. I think that's highly dangerous for the transgendered students, and I think it's highly inappropriate for the parents to not know pertinent information about their children. And I think it clashes with that other policy we have about children who are suicidal.
But the other policy supersedes the policy. So if a child is suicidal, the district, I believe,
Yes,
Dr.
you have
Brochel,
to.
and we have a duty to report that. So
Right.
trans any of
Right.
our students.
Right.
So to put it in the category of suicide notification to parents, that happens whether this policy is in place or not. We don't need to put it in the policy because the duty to report supersedes policy 5756.
So a 7-year-old can come to school and say, I feel that I am in the wrong body, and you don't tell the parents. So my 7-year-old is off at school.
I'm so sorry. You had an opportunity to speak, Ms. Nathans.
It says we're not obligated. It doesn't mean the school won't. It just says they're not obligated. So they
Right,
have to
but
make
we
a
won't.
decision. I didn't interrupt you. Can you just let me finish, please?
Yeah, okay, I
It
will.
just- Sorry, not the finger, but you did interrupt me. I believe.
To interrupt, I'm so sorry, Ms. Nathans. Everybody at this table is due the same level of respect when they're speaking. So there shouldn't be interrupting, and there shouldn't be any type of commentary on any gestures or anything to that nature. Everybody has the opportunity to speak and be respected by everybody sitting at this table.
Yeah, we should have said that in February.
Anyway, so I believe the language says they're not obligated.
Sarah, can you just speak into your mic, please?
Language says that they're not obligated, and one of the many times that we spoke about this, I believe one of the principals actually said that they try if it's the appropriate time, but they have to make a judgment call, which they're qualified to do, to make sure that they're protecting the child when needed. Doesn't say that they won't. If I'm not mistaken, they're trying to do the right for the child, and they're going to try to have the child have the conversation with the parents whenever possible. That is where they're guiding to it. And I have never been in this situation, but I would say the majority of the time they're going to probably disclose it to the parent if it's appropriate. It's the rare occasion, I would think, that they are not, and that is never the goal. The goal is to make sure that they're bringing the family together because it is a family decision. It's just that so the way I've read the language is not obligated, so it doesn't mean that they won't. Big difference.
What staff do we have that can analyze or speak with a child to ensure that this transgendered student has no suicidal ideation or is thinking of killing himself or herself or themselves? They just haven't voiced that. What's the first line? I'm a child, I come to you, I say, I identify now as John, I am he, him, but don't tell my parents. Now, I've been thinking about ending it because I just can't take this stress, this confusion, but I don't tell you that. What's the first line of protection for these transgendered students?
So if I'm understanding the hypothetical correctly, the question is, what processes and procedures do we have in place when a child approaches a member of the staff and indicates that he or she is transgender? Is that the question?
And says, I don't want my parents to know.
Okay, so again, in concert with the guidance from the Office of the Commissioner of Education, we kind of triage, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Is there anything that you need to share? We don't immediately put them through any unnecessary evaluation for a life choice that they've made.
But see, I would take my
Okay,
child
so now,
to help my child work through his or her feelings as they transition.
just so I could play it further a little more, if the child is presenting, any child, regardless of their sexual identity, is presenting as self-injurious. They're demonstrating self-harm. They're verbalizing areas in their life that give us pause and reason for concern. We would assemble immediately an on-site risk assessment team that each school has in order to assess those points further. And then that team would make recommendations for further action. In that particular circumstance, if a child says, oh, by the way, I'm experiencing particular thoughts about self-injury or self-harm or even worse, then there are avenues that we pursue where we engage with outside resources in the medical field to further assess the situation and to consult with the family and the district, as we make further determinations of the appropriate methods of care, appropriate placement, et cetera. So I think what you're asking is, if a child shares that they are transgender, do we give them a suicide screening immediately because of national statistics? And the answer to that is no, not unless they are exhibiting specific and certain circumstances which would essentially stimulate a parallel process and a parallel team.
But they're at higher risk. We know them, this as a group, that they are at higher risk, and if we're trying to protect them, how do we just, a risk assessment team, unless there's an MD at the end of one of their names, I have no interest in my child speaking to them. I want my child with a professional, maybe a specialty in this, to guide my child through his or her transition. I don't want to leave it in the hands of the school.
So understand, and I will suggest to Ms. Frenda that this is a committee-based discussion, but we are not guiding any students through a process of their sexual identity. We have risk assessment teams not for that. We have risk assessment teams for risk behavior. So if a child is verbalizing that they are going to hurt themselves, that's what our risk assessments teams do. We don't have a paradigm that walks a student through processes of their sexual identity. We don't have that. That's not in any of our processes or procedures. However, we have a duty to care, and we do care when children are at elevated risk of self-harm, and we act accordingly.
I would just like to say something, just for clarity, and at this point, if there's anyone else that has anything that they would like to say on the matter, certainly I would like you to do so. In the committee discussion, the recommendation of the committee was not to make any changes to this policy. And I would just like to know what the ask is this evening in discussing it. So if there's an ask and if there is a motion that would like to be made, then I would like to suggest that to happen. Otherwise, I'm not sure, this was heard in committee. The committee's recommendation was not to make any changes. We're now bringing that to the full board. So if there is a motion that would like to be made to make that change for the full board to consider, then I would suggest that that happen. Otherwise, I would like to know what the ask is in furthering this discussion.
The ask is to remove that specific
Okay, well, then you would
part.
need to make a motion to do that.
I'm not going to make a motion because I know no one's going to
Okay,
back that up,
so-
because it looks like we're repealing the entirety of 57 and
Okay.
56.
Well, if there isn't going to be a motion or
You know
action to
what?
be
I want
made.
the parents to know, we know stuff about your kids that you may not know. And as a parent, how do you feel about that? Because that's in this policy. And as a parent, I would want to know what's going on with my child. And if my child says, don't tell my mom, I don't care. I'm the mother. not the teachers, not the staff, not the admin. Sometimes teachers can act as second parents, but they are not the parents. And if they know something about my child that I don't, and my child ends up dead because it wasn't shared with me, I mean, at a minimum, you've lost the most harmful is you've lost a child. At a minimum, you've opened the district up to a lawsuit. But that should be the least of our concern. Our concern should be the safety of that child and making sure they transition safely, happily, successfully, with the support of their family. That's all. I don't even think that's a big ask, to bring in the family.
Okay. Yeah, and you have made that point abundantly clear. Is there anybody else that would like to make a statement?
I would just bring up one other point that we did talk about in committee as well, in terms of children that are at risk, right? So these children are at risk because they are transgender. There are children all over our schools using social media under the age that they should be using them according to social media policies. I know they're coming out with youth accounts and everything else. We know how pervasive it is. We know in the state of New Jersey we've lost students to social media use. We are not requiring our teachers to tell our parents if they see children using social media in the schools, which I'm sure they do in the hallways, that their children are in social media. That puts their child at higher risk, just as much.
41%?
I don't know the exact
80%
percentages.
suicidal
But any child.
ideation?
I can finish talking too.
Yeah, I know you can.
So stop talking.
So then we're again, we're going to
My
ask
point
that
is there
everybody
100 votes.
respect.
Now I understand. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I really don't want to have to bang a gavel. That is not something that I have ever witnessed happening, and it is not something that I want to do. But our function as board members is to have discussions. It is our function as board members to build consensus on issues that we would like to see changed or to bring to a vote or to bring to committee discussion. That is our job as board members. If at the end of your opportunity to try and build that consensus is not reached, then it is time for the majority of the board's desires to be upheld and for us to move on. Furthermore, as the president of this Board of Education, and it is my responsibility to withhold decorum during the course of our meetings, I will not tolerate disrespect at this table amongst board members. There has been ample opportunity to be heard, and everyone else has been respectful and quiet and listened to those perspectives and those thoughts. When another board member takes their opportunity to speak, every other board member is going to be equally as respectful and listen. That there is not going to be any type of talking under our breaths or making commentary about this is poor form, and it is.
This is poor form? In June, I was told I can't. I was
Ms.
told
Gills,
by somebody else,
Ms. Gills,
I
I'm
can't
speaking
stand
right
her
now.
voice.
Ms. Gills.
And did you stop that? No, you let it go.
Ms. Gills,
So don't talk about the core.
I'm not having an argument with you.
No,
I am
no,
telling
you're
you
not
what
having
my
an argument with
responsibility
me.
is, and you have now done it to multiple people sitting at this table over the course of the evening, and I am not going to tolerate.
I've gone up to people.
I am not going.
Please
I'm not
stop.
going to tolerate infighting
No, you
among our
can't tell
board
me to
members.
stop. That's the problem. You want me to stop. You want me to stop. You want to frame it. I don't have my reading glasses. Oh, wait.
The board norms. Let's follow our board
The
norms
board
that we all
norms,
agreed on.
in June, a board member came to the stand, to that person's seat and said, I can't stand listening to her. You didn't say a word.
He got up, that board member got up and left, and that is not my, that was not during, that was.
Sat down and said, I can't stand
Okay,
listening
this
to her.
is such,
You allowed
this
that.
is such poor form, and that was not.
That was poor form.
That was someone who removed themselves from the meeting, and that was not in the context of any type of conversation that was taking place. It was not directed. It was something that was uttered, and they left the room. That is every board member. That person removed themselves from the room, and every board member has the right to do that. Every board member has the right to remove themselves from this room if they need a break or if they would like to make themselves ex parte to the communication. I am not going to facilitate this any longer. This is there are.
That's not true, Sam. You're not being honest. That's not what happened in June.
Okay.
That person left, came back, got caught on hot mic saying something nasty about me, and nothing was said.
Okay.
The decorum was not held to that standard.
Okay. You have been heard. Is there anybody that has anything else to be said on this matter?
I did want to talk.
Yes.
I appreciate you said that you did not want to repeal the policy.
No.
But you've been talking about it for 2 years. You've gone at it every single way. The purpose of this policy is to support transgender kids and to reduce discrimination and to provide a safe and equitable learning environment for everybody. You've been going after for 2 years. This is an end run. Excuse me, I'm talking. I am talking.
Ms. Gills, it is not you have not been
I am
recognized. It is
talking.
not your opportunity to speak right now.
Part of the reason, I know you're concerned about the suicidality of these kids, and of course I am.
I'm sorry.
I know you're concerned about the suicide risk of these kids, and of course we all are. Part of one of the benefits of this policy, which I fully support, is that it supports these children. And one of the reasons why the risk of suicide is so elevated in these kids is because they don't feel supported. So by attacking any part of this resolution will, leave these kids at risk. So I fully support it. If you do not want this, you want to alter this, I encourage you to make a motion. Otherwise, I do not want to talk about this anymore. I think the board agrees, supports this policy. Make a motion and let's see where it goes.
Okay, just so long as the parents know that we know stuff that they may not know. That's not supportive. Involving the parents is giving more support.
You're assuming that every single parent is going to support these
And
children.
you're assuming that they won't.
Well, I don't think we have to err on the safety of the kids. We always think the kids
Okay,
first.
I'm sorry, I just disagree. I see it differently.
Okay, and that has been heard. Yes,
Sorry
Mr.
to
Baker.
interrupt you.
We have to move on. We have people waiting to tell us something, and I want to hear it. And we've had several meetings, and the one you referred to is a perfect example. We had several people here left the meeting because the discussion went on and on and on. We've talked about what you're talking about. It's over. We want to hear these people.
That's great. I've also asked, why don't we move the people to speak on anything and then
That is not,
address the
that is
agenda?
not,
And I've been
that is
told
not an
no.
item up for discussion right
No,
now.
I
We are in
understand that,
policy.
but I
That
have
is not
brought
part of our
that up.
conversation right now.
Let-
Okay, we
Okay.
are going to close out the policy conversation right now. Do we have any items for new? Yes.
For new business, could the policy committee just perhaps start talking about maybe looking at restricting cell phone usage in the school district? It is something that's coming up across the country, and I know Ben District, something we started discussing about. Can you use your mic, please? I'm so sorry. About possibly restricting cell phone usage in the school district. It's better for the children's health and their stress levels, and I know it's something that's been talked across the country, and the Bedminster Board of Education started discussing it as well. Thank you.
We are going to move on to the report of the Student Services Committee. Ms. Ballard.
Thank you. The report of the Student Services Committee, we met on October 28th. In attendance was myself, Ms. Cooper, Mrs. De Grandpre, Mrs. Santoro, Mrs. Frenda, Dr. Brochel, and Ms. Koriansky, the Director of Student Services. The meeting lasted about an hour and 45 minutes. Dr. Brochel and Ms. Koriansky met with the committee to provide a state of the Department for Special Ed. Ms. Koriansky shared 2 documents demonstrating special education and enrollment total and special education classifications by category and years 2020 to 2025. These documents show areas where students are classified, as well as a review by category and diagnosis over the past 5 years. Our district trends follow state and federal trends. There are several areas where students with specific learning disabilities can qualify. Cognitive abilities to intellectual deviations are compared. Additionally, other students qualify because of health impairment, such as ADHD, anxiety, or other disability. Fitting into the classification category opens the door to special ed, but doesn't define the specific services the student will receive. The process is guided by the code, NJSA 6A-14, special ed. This process has not changed. This is the most consistent way to manage the department. The goal is to provide the student with the least restrictive environment. 2 parallel evaluations take place the school evaluation and privately funded evaluation. The difference between the two is that the school does not act as a diagnostician. A student can be referred to a psychological learning consultant. Some students don't meet the criteria and do not get special ed. Students are evaluated every 3 years. Again, the goal of special education is to provide the student with the least restrictive environment, always seeking the greatest opportunity for a student to be in gen ed with their peers. While a paraprofessional is valuable, they can also be a restriction. The goal is independence, so once a student has a 1-to-1 para, the goal is to go to a 1-to-2 para and eventually no para at all. A para is a non-certificated teacher in the room. Challenges faced are communication and trust. A goal is to create a viable CPAD, a special education parent advisory group, as well as working in partnership to fill the communications gap. Dr. Brochel and Mrs. Karansky will join us at the next meeting to discuss interventional services and 504 plans. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ballard. Is there any discussion for the Student Services report, as there are no action items? Yes, Mr. Baker.
I thought these graphs that you attached, and I know the public can't see them, but I thought they were very informative. And the one question I would have, and we may have talked about, why do some disabilities have been dropping, most of them have been dropping as an enrollment process. There's a few smaller ones that stay flat. I mean, when I look at graphs, that's a question I have. It's not a big deal, it's just interesting data. I couldn't figure out why that would happen, but I'm not a special ed expert.
Yeah, I can report back to the committee on that. Yep, certainly.
Is there anybody else for Student Services? No? Okay. And is there anybody that has anything for future Student Services discussion? Nope. Okay. Then we will move on to board announcements. The views and opinions that may be expressed by individual members of the Somerset Hills Board of Education during board announcements are solely those of the individual board members and do not reflect the views, opinions, policies, regulations, and/or positions of the Somerset Hills Board of Education and/or any other individual members of the board. Does anybody have anything for board announcements?
No, I have one.
Yes.
I'd like to take a moment to thank Mrs. DeMarco for all the work she's done. How long have you been here exactly?
4 years.
4 years. I was trying to remember. 4 years. Most people don't know that a business administrator, board secretary, is a very difficult job. People say handling your children and handling your money are two people's most important things, and she handles our money wonderfully. And she's board secretary, which she gets to organize these meetings, all the paperwork we go through, run the committee meetings. It is a lot of work. And I've seen you work Saturdays and Sundays, and I'm going to miss you. I'm going to really miss you. And and enjoy the next part of your life, okay? Because I know you and I have talked about it, but I'm excited, and I'm excited and sad, okay? Okay. Okay. I know you do. I know where you live. Anyway, thank you very much.
I would like to piggyback on that because you're obviously our business administrator, and for the board, and specifically for finance and facilities and operations committee, you provide an invaluable resource to us. But beyond that as well, you are our board secretary, and we can't do any of this without you. And you do it extraordinarily well. We have been very fortunate to have you, and you have been a tremendous asset to me in this role, and I can't thank you enough. And as Bob said, I think we're all very happy for you as you engage in the next chapter of your life, as Dr. Brochel had mentioned. But I think we all agree you will be missed.
Just want to say thank you, Ginny. I remember meeting you at my first school boards convention. You were working in your previous district, you were the assistant, but everybody knew you, and because you had been here, and they were so happy for you and knew you were doing such a phenomenal job. And then when you had the opportunity to come here, there was a lot of excitement, and you certainly lived up to it, and you have been a pleasure to work with. So thank you very much for all you've done. And I would can I make another comment in board announcements?
Is there anybody else that has anything for board announcements?
Please don't go.
That's all. Yeah, I just want to thank Ginny too. We're going to miss, can't you come back to the convention one day? I'll make an exception. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Okay, so, and I just wanted to quickly touch, some of us had attended the Somerset County meeting, which happens, I don't know, every couple months. You can attend virtually or in person. And this one was on culture and climate. And I just want to say that it was very informational, and we were, as Bob always says, you just take away a few nuggets from each of these learning experiences that we get. And, I think we got some good information, so definitely will be beneficial as we, as a board, we prioritize culture and climate within our district. There were some great takeaways that I look forward to sharing in committees going forward, so.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Nope. Okay, then we will move on to the second public comments at this time. Public comments are welcome at this time on any topic. Please state your name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you will be interrupted and asked to pause to allow any other members of the public who would like to speak an opportunity to do so. An individual may return to the podium to complete their statement after everyone else has had an opportunity to speak for a total of 2 times at the podium. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board feels there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment. In accordance with New Jersey statute, the board will not discuss matters regarding specific personnel. A reminder for all parties in attendance to remain respectful, and that there should be no interaction between the speaker and the audience. No members of the audience should interfere with or interrupt the speaker's comments. Thank you in advance for your input. And again, I just refer you to Mr. Marco's timer, as she will set it at 3 minutes, and it will count down as you are speaking. And unfortunately, when it goes off, I will need to interrupt to give other members of the public an opportunity to speak.
Hi, Sam Al-Habibi, 8 Mosley Road, Gladstone, New Jersey. First of all, it's Transgender Day, not Transgendered Day, or transgendered. Stop the hate and protect trans lives. So this is from Red Wine Blue USA. This year alone, at least 36 trans people have lost their lives to violence. Behind the numbers are real people, friends, family, loved ones, all gone because of hate. Transgender individuals are 4 times more likely to face violence than cisgendered individuals. We've seen an increase in harmful rhetoric aimed at the trans community. Politicians are using hurtful language and back policies that attack trans rights, spreading division and hate. These laws make it harder for trans people to access health care, limits their freedoms, and creates an environment where violence against them is more tolerated. Crisis calls from LGBTQ and youth spiked 700% after Election Day. Here's how you can help stop the violence. Speak up against hate. Engage in local politics. Support trans rights. Educate yourself and others. I got 1:30. You know what? I'll come back for this one because this one's good.
Is there anyone else who would like to? Is there anyone else that would like to speak at this time? Yes.
My name's Heather Eckel. I'm on Maple Street in Bernardsville. I'm speaking here tonight as a longtime resident, as a mother of 3 autistic children who attend school here in district, and as an autistic woman myself who once walked the halls of this very school. I also have 22 years of experience working in public schools, and I currently teach a professional development class on the autistic and neurodivergent experience. 5 days ago, I posted on a local town Facebook page asking to connect with parents of neurodivergent children in the Somerset Hills School District who have struggled to get the support they needed in school. Anticipating I would find a handful of families interested in discussing this topic, I was instead blown away by the overwhelming number of parents who were in the same boat that I was. We now have a group of 50 parents who are frustrated with the way our district has handled meeting the needs of our children here, and at least a dozen more have shared their stories privately. Many have even already given up and moved their children out of the district. I wish I could say this surprises me, but this has been an ongoing issue in our district for many years. And while I won't stand here and claim that this is the case for every student with special needs, we absolutely have some wonderful staff and teachers who go above and beyond. We still do not do enough for our neurodivergent students, and we need to do better. This is a student population with significant risk factors for mental health issues, for trauma, addiction, school refusal, and even suicide. The autistic population experiences suicide at a rate 9 times higher than the general population. And for girls and autistic women, that jumps to 13 times higher than their peers. When I advocate for my neurodivergent children and when other parents advocate for theirs, it's not about putting them in a position to get better grades or even making sure they graduate. It's about making sure they manage their day with the least amount of damage possible. It's about helping them find the tools they need to function in a world that was not made with them in mind. It's about trying to get them to a place in life where they can actually thrive and not just survive. And it's about making sure that they are loved and valued for who they are and not for who others would like them to be. When you deny these children access to the supports they need, you are teaching them that they are not worthy. And they will internalize that and go out into the world never believing in themselves. I urge the school board to listen to the families and to work towards better understanding and meeting the needs of our neurodivergent student population. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seckel.
Allison Librera, 10 Stephen Street. Hi, Heather. While speaking about placing children in the least restrictive environment, please keep in mind that both children and teachers are facing daily assaults in the classroom. At what point do we as a school community recognize that a child who requires additional support to access their education might need to be placed in a more appropriate environment? The behaviors we are currently witnessing did not happen in a vacuum. I believe that it has escalated to the current behaviors by being denied or not given the proper services that they needed in their younger school years. We just had a para that has been with our school for 8 years resign due to the current climate. I am deeply concerned that the needs of students who require additional support are being overlooked, and this is putting both their education and the safety of other students at risk. It's crucial that we reevaluate how we are addressing these issues and ensure that every child is receiving the appropriate support they need to succeed. I cannot help but wonder, are these kids getting the proper support and services? We currently have a behaviorist who is not in district. This is the same behaviorist that never met my son but gave him ABA goals. I think we can all agree that this would not be considered best practice at best, and I will go as far as to say unethical. I have spoken to educators this past month regarding how different districts handle these type of situations, and it seems that most have a behaviorist in the building, and when needed, students can be placed in an EBR room. At minimum, each grade school should have an inclusion classroom. But to be honest, it doesn't stop with having a behaviorist in the building. Studies have shown that these children need to have intervention as early as possible. So even if we were able to get a behaviorist in our building, they also need to be approved for services, which as it stands now, under our current Director of Special Services, is incredibly difficult. I would hope, as a district, we would support our students because we want to give them the best education we can. However, financially speaking, wouldn't it make more budgetary sense to hire a behaviorist in-house, have inclusion classes in every grade where the class would have a gen ed teacher as well as a special ed teacher, as opposed to just sending students out of district? I have said many times that there are people who do not speak publicly, but would like to share our experiences, difficulties, as well as what has been successful. Although I may be the loudest voice, I am not the only. I'm excited to hear about the Parent Advisory Committee. Someone recently posted in our community group, you may have heard of the bubble, and asked if anyone would was having trouble accessing services. There were over 50 responses of parents echoing this sentiment. So again, I implore you to meet with parents who are struggling and listen to them about the significant concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Librera.
Megan Dooley, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm a school counselor here in the district and have been since 2009. I first want to thank the policy committee for their commitment to protecting all of our students, and yet I am so very disappointed to be here to speak once again about Board Policy 5756. As I have said at many board meetings over the past few years, I continue to worry with the onslaught of anti-LGBTQ+ and specifically anti-trans legislation and hateful, dangerous rhetoric around transgender rights that calling so much attention to this policy stirs up unnecessary fear in the community and unfairly targets our district's trans and non-binary students. I've stated my concerns repeatedly, so all I am here to say tonight, what bears repeating the most is this. To any trans and non-binary students who are watching, who are listening, who are paying attention to the conversations at and surrounding these Board of Ed meetings, please know that you're supported, you're cared for, and I'd like to believe that the vast majority of adults in this district, those who live here and those who work here, do not believe that your humanity and your protection are topics that should be under review. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dooley.
Hi, I'm Michael Myers. I live on Ambar. My wife is getting a doctorate in library science, and it seems that when you're in library science, you end up meeting a lot of trans people. I'm not quite sure why that is, but I've met a lot of trans people now, and I've met a lot of trans parents. So I speak out of personal experience. I've met several that are estranged from their parents. I've met several that have felt that their parents were harassing them. I feel very deeply for Ms. Gill's comments that parents should know what's going on with their kids. But when I read the 7 pages that is 5756, what I get out of it is that it puts kids first. And I think that the 1 or 2 sentences that say there is no affirmative duty for a school district to notify is not withholding information from a parent. It is trying to protect a kid so that they continue to have a chance to interact with their parent. And I think that's how it should be viewed, is that this is a very kid-forward policy. And I would urge you that if you think that your duty is to support parents over kids, I would urge you to rethink that a little bit and say that maybe as a school board member, your duty is to protect kids and help them on their path to reconciling with their parents. And I think 5756 walks a tightrope through that very difficult minefield of a kid growing up and figuring out their relationship to themselves and figuring out their relationship with their parent. And I would urge you to see it in that light. And lastly, I absolutely echo Megan Dooley's comments that the continued discussion of trans people, meeting after meeting after meeting, is not doing them a service. There's lots of things that are important for the school board to talk about. Neurodivergence, cell phones, guns, drugs, sports fields, capital plans. And if we can get off this issue, which quite frankly has been agreed several years ago, I think it would do everyone a favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dooley, or sisters-in-law. I live at 8 Olcott Avenue. I'm also a teacher at Bedwell. My pronouns are she, her, And I want to share with you that a non-binary kid who recently shared their identity with me for the first time, they said to me, "I feel happy, I feel more myself, but the bullies are worse." Have you spoken to any transgender or non-binary adults? We learn most from lived experiences. If you, as a parent, want to know if your kid is trans or gender nonconforming, I advise you to create a welcoming and inclusive environment at home. Kids share who they are with people they feel safe with. And sometimes even people they feel safe with, they're too scared to share that with. I've learned that from people in that community. If you have more questions and would like to learn more, I'd be happy to provide you with educational opportunities taught by trans and non-binary professionals. I want the LGBTQ students and families in our community to know that they are supported. We will continue to show up for you and speak for you. You're safe with me and so many other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dooley. Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment?
Can I say something?
No.
But she offered resources.
No.
Oh, okay.
Hi, my name is Ann Todd, 9 Maple Street, Peapack. I just really want to thank the board. You guys are amazing how you sit through this and come up with policies for the school and help the children, and all the time. It's almost 10 o'clock. I'm just really impressed. And Dr. Brokel, I got to speak with you on the phone, and just so pleased and very happy to be here. And it's been a long night, and I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Todd. Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
All right. Sama Habibi, Mosley Road, Gladstone. I have nothing left up here. So this is from a website called Straight Talk. Hypocrisy is defined as the practice of claiming to have moral standards or views to which one's own behavior does not meet. It is a pretense of morality that cloaks our inability to meet a predetermined moral code. We accuse one person of doing exactly what we are doing, but believe that it is somehow different when that person does it. It is typically caused by an inflated sense of ego and self-righteousness, coupled with an inability to be humble. At the root of hypocrisy is fear and low self-esteem. We use hypocrisy to avoid looking at our shortcomings and figure out our part in it. It typically stems from a sincere belief that we should not be held to the same standards as others because we have better intentions. Our belief is juster, nobler, and sincere. Put yourself in other people's shoes. Learn about others. Get to know your enemies. Think about where they're coming from. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Think about how much it hurts to be accused of something that you are doing yourself. Putting ourselves in other people's shoes can be tremendously helpful in decreasing our inflated ego and self-righteousness.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that would like to make a statement this evening or come to the podium? No? Okay. Then if I could get a motion to close public comments, please. Mr. Grandpré and Ms. Rye. Thank you. And I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to
Baker
adjourn.
in a second. Ms. Ballard, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for enduring a long meeting. Have a great night.